welcome back to Whitt Acres. It's a new day working on the pond out here in the middle of October, and we're actually getting a nice 60-degree day to be working outside in. Not too cold, and as long as you're working, you stay warm. So I'm out here getting a little bit more things done with the pond. Yesterday I was able to go up to my brother's and harvest some more stone. I got the big stone that's needed for my retainment wall straight across from my waterfall, and I picked up another stone for my waterfall that I need to get down here. But I'm not working on that right now. I'm working on backfilling around the wetland filter and getting some river stone into the stream area. So I'll bring you in, show you what we're doing. So I'm in here working on the bog wetland filter. My next step here is to get the hose into the barrel, and then I can fill it up with about a ton of 2B river gravel, and I'm waiting on that. Can't get a truck out here yet, so what I'm doing in the meantime is backfilling around the outside. You can see I'm backfilling tight up against the rubber, pulling it up nice and straight, and then I'm tamping it all down with the little 8-inch tamper I have. And the clay's wet, so it's really packing in nicely. If you have dry dirt, you kind of want to wet it so you can work it down into all the crevasses, so you don't have any slumping later or settling later. You want to get it as packed tight as you can now. But I'm working on that, getting the clay. I'm trying to get as much shale out of the clay before I put it in and pack it down. I'm real close to water level. That blue line's water level, so I just need to bring it up a little bit more so I can put my stone in there. The stone I have is about 4 inches thick, so that'll go right about there, an inch below water level. So yeah, I just have to bring it up maybe another 4 inches on this side, and I'll be good. So the next thing I wanted to do, and if that sun keeps coming out, I might be able to, is foam in this weir wall for holding the water back, so I can get the water to flow over it instead of through the cracks in the wall. The waterfall foam I want to use says to be applied around 60 to 100 degrees, and we're pushing the lower end of that today, so it might warm up, or I might just do it tomorrow where we're supposed to have a little bit more heat. I want to foam in all these cracks because I want to make the water fall over the wall and not through the cracks, like I said. And then I'll fill up the back side of this with 2B river gravel and then some pea gravel for the top fine layer. The water will then roll over this wall and into about a foot deep section here with the river gravel and the stone, and that water level is going to be about 2 inches below this log, right at about the bottom of that stone there, and it'll come right through about right below that log. So it'll be sticking up just slightly, I think, which is perfect. And then I'm putting a retainment wall there to hold in all the gravel and stone falling down the slope, and then I'll have it drop again underwater and a retainment wall build up right there to hold in this next layer of gravel, and then finally it'll drop to the full 2 feet in front of the waterfalls there. The big stone we harvested is going to be going right here in the backside, right into the wall of this bank, and it is 94 inches long, so I have it marked out right where it's going to go, and it's about 18 inches to 20 inches thick, which is that orange line there. Now this is a little bit low. We have to raise it up about 3 inches because right now it's at water level, and I need it to be just slightly above water level so it's not getting wet. So what we need to do is come in here with the hoe and dig out all this dirt above that orange line, and I already cut this edge in and tamped it down so I have a nice level surface. And once we get that cut out, I'll put the rubber and fabric back in. I will fabric this area probably because I want to make sure that this ground doesn't move around that rock and it starts settling. So we'll get that in, fabric the rubber, and then I can build a small retainment wall underneath this stone so it holds it up to the right height. I don't want the water to flow over it. I just want it hitting and having about 2 inches of dry stone sticking above, so the waterfall came in, hit it, and diverted downstream. And downstream you can see we still have some water sitting in the hole, but my French drain worked great during the rainstorm we had, and it all flowed. You can see it sitting in there. It all flowed down into there. I even took a video while it was raining of it actually channeling down to the lowest point, and it worked great. So the plan is to dig out this whole section and get another French drain running the rest of the way through to the sump pit, and I think it's going to work just the way I'm planning. I did end up ordering a liner for this area because if you haven't seen, we have good clay here, but once you get down about 3-4 feet, and even less sometimes, you'll hit a pocket like this, and it's all shale. and if the water hits that, it's just gonna drain straight through, and you never know when you're gonna hit it and how deep it's gonna be. So I'm not gonna risk it. I just went and bought a 30 mil blue rubber liner, and I'm gonna use that for the rest of the area here. So it won't be completely watertight because I'm not actually seaming anything, which is fine because I'm building it with found materials that we've had. So I'm just trying to make it work the best I can, and I still think it's gonna actually hold water and do pretty well. You'll just have to subscribe and follow along to see how it ends up and see if it ends up holding water in the end. The waterfall, I think, is coming along pretty nicely. I did get the transit on it and the stones were great. This stone here was just an 1/8 inch low on the left side, which you might be able to tell, but it's actually pretty close. Depends on the volume of water coming over. You probably won't even notice that, but I did make it perfect where it falls off both ends and wraps around that cone piece, and it drops right on the worn part of that stone. I think water level's right about here. So everything's working out just as I planned. To finish up the evening, I just wanted to swing over some of these walking stones I have for the edge of it and in front of my cold frame. I knew I wanted to use this nice long square one, rectangular one, and then I found this one that works perfect to finish it off. So I have to fill in a little bit, backfill, and make them nice and steady yet. They have a little bit of wobble, but they're going to be a perfect walking stone for around my edge whenever I have to get into the garden and do some work or get into the cold frame. Nice pretty dahlia. It's got to move, but yep, this is coming along, and this is where I'm going to finish up the day. Just trying to get done one stone at a time. Let me know what you guys think of it so far down in the comment section down below. If you think it's coming along pretty well, hit that like button before you leave, and if you haven't already, subscribe down below so you can follow along with the rest of the progress of the pond coming together. All right, till tomorrow. Started foaming in because I worked a bunch of this river gravel. You can see over here, worked a bunch of that into the cracks and crevices around my waterfalls. And I went ahead and put this waterfall foam, actually this landscape foam adhesive, so it won't just block the water, it would also hold my stones together. And I put in a nice little seam right there to keep the waterfall from sinking down behind the rocks. I want to flow over the stone, and you definitely want to wear gloves when using this stuff because it's sticky. Yeah. I also got this little weir coming out of my wetland foamed in. I started down here because I wasn't sure how it was gonna go, and got a little messy, but I think I filled in all the cracks and crevices the way I needed to. I used up a full can already just on this weir and that little bit around the waterfalls. But yeah, next step. Due to the odd shape of the bottom of my big stone, I have to notch out the ground. A little weird. So we got the transit in here, and I got my low point and my water level. So now I'm carving it out to make it look like the bottom of that stone over there, and hopefully it's going to match up just perfect. We got it strapped up. As soon as my dad gets over here to help, we're going to lift her up and set her in place, and then we'll lay some landscaping fabric in, put the rubber down, and put the stone back in. That way there's rubber behind the stone and the water can flow right up to it, and we'll have a straight drop down into the 2-foot section of the pond. And that'll be a big chunk of my framing for this whole section of the pond. Once that goes in place, I'm pretty much good to go. Right now I am washing down the stone in my wetland filter because I want to get all the dirt and sediment out of the stone before I start using it as filter, because I keep digging and dropping dirt in here. But you also want to do this in layers. You don't want to put all your little stone on top and then try and wash it all down. You want to try and get each layer pretty clean. And I just bought a sump pump, which is sitting down in there. So once it all washes down, I'll be able to pump out the dirty water. And we'll have a nice clean wetland to start the pond with.